Welcome everyone to another episode of Flix Fellas. We have a guest here today that we're super excited about.
Woo.
Andy, happy to have you on.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me. This is awesome.
No, thanks for joining us. What's it called? In addition, we have Joey and Kevin, the normal Flix Fellows, which we are also excited about.
Hello.
But I'm not as excited as to see them as see Andy. I'm sorry, guys.
I'm not either, so you're good. Yeah.
Andy hosts Fat Dude Digs Flix. You can find him at Fat Dude Digs Flix, no spaces, on Instagram, and Fat Dude Digs Flix, all spaces, on anywhere you could receive podcasts, like Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Go check him out. Really funny, really interesting stuff. Very in-depth and far more intellectual conversation than we have here on this show. But Andy's here.
Listen. I'm like I'm dumbing myself down today, I guess. No, that's a dick thing to say.
It's okay. It's true. It's okay.
It's true. It's true.
My podcast isn't that smart. We just like to talk and we don't know how to shut up. So
yeah, I feel like
that's like us. That's just like us. Yeah. We just cut each other off when they start talking way too much. We're just like, all right, enough of you.
You're done.
Well, today, we are watching, we watched, I would hope, the movie Kimi, an HBO Max original, starring. Hold on, I have the wrong page open. Starring, I know who's starring it, but I want to get everybody's names because I'm awful at the names.
There's like three people in the movie. You could have memorized this, dude.
I have messed it up so many times. Starring Zoe Kravitz, Byron Bowers, Rita Wilson, Erica Christensen, and then a slew of other characters. But this really is kind of a tighter cast in this movie, and other than really a main few characters, there isn't a large length of time that you see a lot of other people. So, like, really focused around.
Who are we kidding?
Yeah,
This
it's
is
Zoe
Zoe
Kravitz.
Kravitz.
Yeah,
It's the Zoe Kravitz show.
Yeah, it's Zoe Kravitz 90% of the time. So, but this movie, it happens. This is one of the only movies that I think I've seen that happens during the COVID-19 pandemic. It takes place in Seattle with an agoraphobic tech worker who discovers the evidence of violent crime while reviewing a data stream. After met with some resistance through the bureaucracy of her company, she tries to get involved where she must face her greatest fear, venturing out of her own home. So this one, it was very interesting. And for first reactions, let's start it off with Joey. How you feeling, Joey?
I was conflicted about this one. I liked it. It felt kind of like Hitchcock vibes, the way they shot it. It felt like Rear Window, and just it felt much more like a psychological thriller. And I went into this one not knowing anything about it. I thought it was going to be like a ninja action movie. Had no idea it was like a tech movie. It's short, but it feels very long. So that's where I struggled with, because I at some point thought that this should have been over by now, or more should have happened earlier. So I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I'm on the fence right now. I don't know what my decision's going to be, but I'm excited to talk about this one because I think I could be swayed either way. So I'll kick it over to Andy.
Ooh, I had a lot of fun with this one, and I think it's because there are those Rear Window vibes going on here, and I really, Rear Window is probably one of the first Hitchcock movies that I had ever seen, so it really gets that feeling throughout this whole movie. I thought Zoe Kravitz was fantastic. If the movie has to rest on her shoulders for an hour and a half and you really have to invest in her character and what she's going through, I thought she did a fantastic job of carrying this movie. I didn't feel like it was super long, but there were moments where the pacing was just really it was going, and then it had these beats here and there where it was just kind of like, all right, let's pick it up. And maybe we'll talk about more specifically in spoilers what really kind of put a damper on there for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought this was a ton of fun, especially for a straight to HBO Max movie. Like, I had a good time with it, and I don't think this would have had a very successful theatrical run. It just doesn't have those like the meat on its bones for that, but for something you can just kind of chill out and watch at home, I had a good enough time with it.
Yeah, I agree with Andy. Actually, funny enough, same as Joe. So Andy, we like to, when we watch these movies, like if someone picks a movie, like me, I think James does too, and definitely Joe, we try and like not watch any trailers.
Yeah.
Like completely avoid everything. And so I thought the same thing, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't my favorite movie I've watched recently. Same thing, Zoe Kravitz was awesome. I was going to say the same thing, Andy. The pacing felt a little weird at some points, but I think that's a little bit of like Steven Soderbergh. Like, at least other than like the Ocean's movies, they can kind of get a little longer, the ones that I've seen. So I like kind of chalked that up to that. And then that was my first thought, was like, this is just Rear Window. But I kept comparing it to the other like Rear Window ripoff we watched, which was Woman in the Window, which sucked.
What?
Oh, yeah, with Amy
No.
Adams.
I hate it.
What are you talking about?
That movie stunk.
No.
But this was a way better did a way better job at interpreting Rear Window in like a different sense. Like that was literally just Rear Window with Amy Adams, where this is like Rear Window from like an AI point of view, during COVID, which is very relevant. So I thought I would hate that they brought COVID into it, because I've always said like movies and television for me are an escape from like the real world, and like I never really wanted COVID to like be in there, because then I'm not escaping, I'm just living life. But this did it well, where I wasn't like jarred or like annoyed by it. So I thought it was okay. I'm kind of in the same boat as Joe, where our conversation and the spoiler could sway me either way. But yeah, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah. I definitely think like through kind of the talking, there was a lot of that I kind of agree. I actually do think I like the way they did COVID in this movie, because I feel like it was more of a set piece than a focus. And it also kind of furthered the point of like, because I feel like during the pandemic, like agoraphobia became more and more prevalent, because there is a real fear of like this new risk in society. And I thought that was done very well in the movie. I thought it was suspenseful. Like I did find like points where I was kind of on the edge of my seat, even though it was more of like an island movie to me, you know, because most of the movie is filmed within like the four walls of her apartment. She had an amazing apartment, by the way. I was like, did anyone else catch that?
Yeah.
I'm like, how?
That was pretty sweet. Like in Seattle, like, yo, what amygdala's paying well.
Yeah, that's got to be the job to have.
I was like,
I want to
those
be a
are
tech guy now.
huge windows. She has like a gigantic living space, room for her living space wasn't just like a living room with everything packed in, you know. But
yeah.
It was pretty cool.
Really cool.
Beautiful apartment.
Yeah, beautiful apartment. I would love to live there. No, but like I think her acting was very good, and even though she wasn't the most emotive character, like you'd think that kind of would drag the movie on, because the movie is so focused around her, but it kind of uses the time to further explain her situation in like a very subtle way, which I think is good. I think they did a good job of storytelling. I do think that it dragged in the middle a little bit, and there was like a very quick, I'm not spoiling, but there was a very quick ramp up of action, and then a very quick climax. Yeah. So, but overall, I think it was pretty good. This one, everyone said it felt long. This was an hour and a half runtime, like less than hour and a half runtime. So it was, maybe that's something that kind of takes away from it too.
Could be a pacing issue. Yeah.
But overall, I think it was pretty good. Go ahead.
I just want to add one more thing on top of that, though, like, because we all touched about how Zoe Kravitz, you know, like, killed the role. She really held the movie together. I loved the whole, like, backstory and development that they gave to her, and we'll talk more about that in spoilers. Like, she really, I think, executed that well. The problem I feel like where I fell flat with this movie, and why not, like, oh, this was great, let's definitely, like, click play, is that, like, the plot didn't seem unique, really. Like, there's a lot of, like, tropes and stuff that have been done before and haven't really, like, it didn't seem like flushed out. It seemed like they spent so much time on her and her character without really building the world around them.
Yeah.
So that's where I struggle with, but excited to hear what you guys have to say about your decision.
Yeah. Does anyone have any other thoughts before we get into spoilers, or do we want to kind of just do our thing and jump right in? All right.
Yeah, I'm good with diving in.
Yeah, let's dive in. All right, so before we move on, click player keeps scrolling. So let's start. I started with Joey. Let's start with Kevin, and we'll go back around in clockwise on my screen, but it wouldn't make sense for the viewers. So continue, Kevin. You first. Go ahead.
Wait, so am I
You're
going
going
first? I'm so confused as to what you're saying.
I talk myself in circles.
I'm press and play. I thought it was a good watch, and like, kind of like Andy said, put it on the background. Like, if you're just hanging out, it's a good Sunday movie. But yeah, I thought it was like good enough to get a little play action there.
Andy, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna say click play on this one too. That Sunday movie. That's the best way to describe this. Like, this is hour and a half. Commercial free. Like, this is a kickback, relax. You don't really have to put a lot of thought into it. We'll discuss the problems with it. But I think I enjoyed it. I had a good time, and I think most people will.
Andy, does it get the chef's kiss though?
I don't know that I'm going to give it the chef's kiss. I think it was
Okay.
good, and it'll get, for the taco rating, I gave it a 3.5 tacos, which is like better than average. But this is, this is not a chef's kiss movie. This is a hey.
Okay.
I love that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think it's a soft play in the right time and environment and circumstances, all the good stipulations to that. But I don't know, it's got its downfalls too, and I think that once we start digging into this one, I might go back and change it to a keep scrolling. But right now I'm going to say click play.
It's so hard for me to read you, Joey. Like, I feel like it's like you take yourself on a roller coaster, and I'm like right there with you.
I liked it. I
toes.
didn't like it. It was okay. I liked it. No, I didn't like it.
Yeah, that is Joe every
I am
episode.
the most
Andy.
indecisive person with every decision in my life. So when it comes to this, it doesn't help.
It's very convincing, Joey. Like, again, like I feel like I'm like, it's like you do like I kind of really liked it, but oh my, I didn't like this, Like, I don't want to I feel like we're all kind of landing in a similar area, right? And like I could definitely see this being a keep scrolling if a strong case was made, especially the pacing is something we should talk about. But overall, I think that like the character development, felt unique. I think the setting, even though it's a theme that's been done before, felt unique. Like they took a different kind of run with it. I think that they did. Spoiler. I'm just gonna say for now, I am gonna soft click play as well. So we have 4 soft click plays. We'll see where we land at the end. Anything else before we move into spoilers? Cool. All right. Well, thank you all so much for watching this part of the podcast. If you want to listen to spoilers, please tune in to the second half. Welcome back. Thank you again for tuning back into spoiler section. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube, and give us 5 stars if you're listening to us on Spotify. So, Kimi, the movie from HBO Max, we all soft played it. We were like, it's pretty good. But I know that there was like a lot of bits and pieces to this movie that I want to talk about. But does anyone have any burning points or questions or in their brains?
I am telling you, I don't know about you guys. I laughed out loud because like the whole time she's like adjusting everything and it's getting a little clearer. And then all of a sudden it's just clear as day, the male's voice where he's like, shut the fuck up. And I was like,
Right? Yeah.
I was cracking up. I was like, how does that like
It's like how far can we enhance? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a what is it, NCIS or CSI, where it's just like, make it clearer, make it clearer, make it clearer.
This super pixelated picture
that
it's this super pixelated picture we took from a camera from like 1996. Yeah, high def, super zoomed in. Yeah.
Look at this 4K picture of Ted Bundy right here.
Oh man,
And that's like the things in this movie, and we'll get to a lot more of them throughout, that there's like those little things that held it back from being that like, oh, this was an awesome movie. Because like you suspend your disbelief in a lot of movies, right? But when it's like stuff like that, that's so blatantly just like they just kind of brushed over and they were just like, this will do fine. That stuff annoys the shit out of me sometimes, you know, when it's like so.
If it's taking itself seriously, like it's not a like comedies can do that where they kind of brush things by and they like write things off and it's fine. But like if you're, you know what I mean? Like they made a point to be like, oh, like she's an audio engineer, like she can go and do this and like and she knows like she had got the Russian guy involved and he's like, how can I do this? You know, and it's, you know, it was like a much bigger deal in the movie than I think, you know. Like Joey was saying. Go ahead.
It was a really weird connect the dots. Like, you know, and I'm saying this as somebody who I did have fun with it. I enjoyed it. Is this something that's, first off, is this a movie that lives up to the rest of Steven Soderbergh's filmography? Nah. No. But it's a fun watch. But the movie is really working to connect these dots in just the most bizarre ways, because it's like, you know, oh yeah, crystal clear, she can hear everything. We're gonna link to some guy in Russia who seems to be able to know, you know, just all of these weird little points that are kind of like, how does this really gel together?
Right, and it just so happens to all take place in Seattle. It all like this is a global company. It's on the news, like global news, and everything. All this shit is happening in the same mile radius. Like, it's just
in addition.
But you gotta ignore that because there were those fun parts. Like Andy was saying, I'm the same way. I had fun in the middle part of that movie, and if you just kind of let that go, then it's good.
Can we also talk about the culmination of the snuff effort of the CEO, because I felt like that was super convoluted and the vaguest strings tie these things together, where she's also gonna get murdered in like an office building. Like, what the heck what's the plan there, you know? Like,
what was the reason? Like, I can't remember what the reason as to what she knew that she was
the woman.
So I think
basically the CEO of not Amazon, you know,
amygdala.
Amygdala. Is like having an affair with this woman, right? And then the woman, they get caught on tape because he gave her a Kimi, and basically, you know, he gets like this like group of assassins to kill her. But the altercation that they have, like not Jeff Bezos and this person, like, you know, because he like parallels and stuff. But like that's caught on film, and that's what not Kimmy. What's her name? What's Zoe Kravitz's? Angela. It's one of those things that it's like a famous person and it's all about them, so no one ever says their name, so it's just Zoe Kravitz to me. Angela like hears this audio file, you know, and that's like the loose string that ties this all together. But what's crazy is the first time that there's a real rubber meets road in like the bad guys like area or camp is like she goes in to meet with like a chief operating officer or some vice president of personnel, and like while she's sitting in the office, like the not Jeff Bezos,
she's like, we gotta have this chick killed.
Assassins walking down in like cubicles, and I'm like, what?
Mrs. Tom Hanks makes that phone call where she's like, look, it's time to 86 this girl.
Hey,
get her out of here.
This person with like a social security number and then is like well connected, you know, we're gonna kill her in an office.
Want to like double down on the confusion there, because everybody made it sound like she was the right person to go to. Even the CEO, like his hitman calls him. She's like, he's already on his way to go see Chaudhry. What's her name?
Chaudhry.
Yeah.
Chaudhry.
She's on her way to go see her right now. Like, we gotta take care of this before it escalates or whatever. Like, it sounded like she was on her side, or she was, but she's also, like James said, the VP or COO of this major corporation, and is taking this meeting with this like low-level employee without ever hearing the recording, and like sits down with her, and I don't know, that whole scene just kind of like irked me a little bit, because she just wanted her to call the FBI.
Yeah.
Bring the FBI in.
Yeah.
This is the woman who apparently is taking this seriously. She obviously is, I think, in on it and doesn't want any like bad publicity, of course. But there just seemed like a disconnect of how reality works and what these characters were doing. And that's just, again, another like kind of gripe that I felt like once you got past the funness of...
Again,
Sorry, go.
That stuff to me, though, I'm just saying, like, that stuff to me, like, it's a movie. So, like, yeah, it's a little ridiculous that the CEO has, like, a hit squad that's, like, cleaning up all these loose ends. But if he didn't, there's no movie.
No,
really.
I agree with that. And
so,
I'm not upset by it by any means. But, like, the scene where they're talking in the office of, it's Angela and we'll call her the VP. It felt like so long of just saying, call the FBI. No, I'm not calling the FBI. Call the FBI. No, I'm not calling the FBI. Like, there was no, like...
I have a phone. I will call the police. I will call.
Yeah, like, it was just like, what do we do? She literally said, what are we doing here? And I was thinking the same thing.
Was I the only person that thought of these two assassins that when they come through the door at the office building, it was like they were henchmen from like the 1960s Batman TV show, like Tweedledee and Tweedledum just bumbling through like, let's go, here we go.
I was thinking more Home Alone, but same vein. Yeah.
Very much Home Alone. This whole movie turns into Home Alone.
Yeah. There was a lot of moments that felt like Home Alone. It's like Hitchcock creates Home Alone.
Wow, and then if you think about it too, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but like the whole nail gun thing, like that's some shit that Kevin would do, you know? Yeah,
it was this was Buzz's redemption story.
Yeah,
yeah.
Oh man,
literally the last note in my notebook I wrote was Home Alone. Just this is Home Alone.
Yeah. But yeah, I think those, and that's the thing too. Like, I don't know about you, Andy, because I think you and I are more aligned than James and Joe are. But did that take you out of it a little bit too? Was how ridiculous? Maybe James is more on our side. Maybe
no, I'm just saying, like,
but
I'm like,
are you trying out
are you schmoozing up to Andy, Kevin? Are you? Me
and Andy are the boys. You guys don't.
It's time for a spin-off, guys.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'm trying to get a new podcast. I'm trying to get the fuck off me. But no, did that take you out of it, Andy? Like as far as like because we're not giving it the chef's kiss. So is that one of those that you're just like, why? Or are you?
Yeah, that was the key moment for me that really put this kind of separation between me and the movie is the establishment of those assassins. Like, I mean, these are the people that we're supposed to be afraid of. Like they have killed this woman on, it's recorded in a brutal fashion. And here they come, like, just, I don't know, it was just watching them enter the scene, and I was like, these are the guys that we're gonna be afraid of. And then because one was so, like, laughably tall, and the other was laughably short, I was just like, what are we doing?
Yeah, what's going on here?
Again, and and
what
I
am I
feel
watching?
And I feel like I'm sticking to this. I enjoyed the movie, but there were these moments here and there where it was just like, this is silly.
Yeah.
And watching those guys come in there, that was one of those moments where it was like, and the hallway, like the whole walk to the hallway, it felt very, very long. Where they're trying to get to this office and she's getting out of the office, and it's like, oh, they still haven't caught her. They still haven't caught her.
Everybody in the office was just like gone.
No big deal.
No big deal. It's weird that there's people running through our office full speed. That seems kind of aggressive. Maybe I should get
Tuesday.
Who are we killing today?
Who's the whistleblower today? Well, and that's the thing that I think is like that holds it back a little bit is just these glaringly stupid moments where you're like, they didn't have to do that.
I feel like
they could have done anything else.
It's okay to be like overly stupid if you embrace it and like go full deep. But they had a lot of like serious like themes to this movie of PTSD, COVID, agoraphobic, like sexual assault. Like there's a lot of serious like tones and themes to this movie that like it should be like a serious drama, and then they make these action parts just so comical that it just like takes you out of it.
There's definitely elements where you're on the tip of your seat or on the edge of your seat, and like I think that they did that well, but there is like, I feel like it started, all of my problems with the movie started when she sat down in the office. Because I feel like up until that point, they did a good job of kind of establishing the main character, establishing the plot, understanding kind of like the world, and like the situation that's going on and like her situation. And then like, as soon as they kind of introduce these outside characters as like, this is the hurdle that the main character needs to kind of overcome to like, you know, finish the story out. Like, I just feel like you could have done like corporate espionage in a much more interesting way and work within the tone, you know? Like, they tried to make Wish Home Alone in tone and like with the pace of the movie, but it was very like, you know, like it's like elements like it's funny, but it's not supposed to be funny. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's very...
I want to add one thing to that because, like, to me, one of the scariest things and like the most like out of like body reality into this movie that was scary was like her listening to all these conversations, and it's not like it's futuristic technology. We have these devices in every home today, in every room almost. Like, they're literally. It's weird to hear those conversations from the other side. And obviously there's that anonymity of like, okay, she doesn't know which device it comes from, who's talking, all this stuff. But the fact that someone can just kind of like press a button and be like in your room with you, that like kind of freaked me out. Took me out a little bit.
I feel like I'm so comfortable.
So I thought that was interesting, the way they did that.
I'm like apathetic to that because I feel like it's like, that's just like the world we live in is like video and speakers and whatever.
No, I agree. With our cell phones and everything, it's not like new, but it's just still like you don't see that typically.
No,
you hear
100%.
people say, "Oh, they're always listening. They're on their like, there's someone there
watching."
Yeah,
but then you actually
they're
hear
just like,
it.
this is what it could be.
Yeah,
Like.
it's like, ooh, creepy.
Yeah. Also, they're like Amazon Alexa sounded like a serial killer. Like it's like Kimi, and she goes, "I'm here." Yeah. You're like, ugh.
I meant to look to see who the voice of Kimi was because I'm sure it was somebody.
I have it.
Like,
that's a great question.
notable.
Like a little Easter
I
egg.
didn't look to see.
It's Betsy Brantley.
Did anyone see the casting? I don't want to look it up, James, because I don't want to see the scores and stuff. But the mom,
my first thought, because I just watched the Oscars on Sunday, I was like, is that Jada Pinkett Smith? And then I was like, oh no, it's not her. But
like, no,
too much hair. Oh shit!
Watch
Will
it.
Smith is gonna come smash me.
James, edit that in.
Whoopah!
Yeah, you have to edit.
I'll edit it so it's like the time is correct. So when Joey is doing this, you go like that.
Keep Jada's name out your fucking mouth.
We live in a crazy
Sorry
world.
if you guys have a no swearing policy.
No, are you kidding me?
If the Oscars can swear, so can we.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
If I can get it on Japanese Twitter, you can do it here.
I just want to take that voice snippet out of you just going, if I can get it on Japanese Twitter, I can get it here. And just, like, keep it. Like, it could probably
that
come
would
in
be
handy
a
at some
great
point.
commercial.
It's a nice little text message tone.
Yeah.
That's the next snippet for, like,
Exactly.
the intro. Oh, man. Okay, so I had a couple notes. I know Serial Killer Siri was one of them. What's it called? Can we talk about the end? I know we're kind of like, I feel like we're kind of in that zone.
Yeah. I think we pretty much got through the middle parts. Let me just say, though, before we get to the end, and you guys can agree or disagree, but that, like, the middle of the movie, I know, you usually disagree. That chase and, like, her trying to get away from them was actually really good. Like, I was really caught up. When they pulled her into the van, I was like, that fucking sucks. Like,
And-
I unbelievable. But I was actually drawn into the movie at that point.
And the payoff of that chase scene, like the like how it's at that protest, and the protesters pull her out of the van. Like, I was like, that's great.
Yeah.
What
I was like, let's go. Let's go.
Yeah.
They actually acknowledge the other people in the scene, where I feel like most movies are like, they just kidnap them in broad daylight and everyone's like, what happened? Like, who cares? And they're like, oh wait, no, we have a mob mentality right here. Let's protect this girl.
Hey, this thing that we're mad about, why don't we focus our anger this way?
Get her out.
Yeah. That was awesome. Okay, so the ending, I feel like it happened in 10 minutes. When like they introduced like the other, like the stalker, kinda like the soft stalker, like and I like that he was trying to, like, you know, help her out, but then he gets, you know, he's bleeding for like the last 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just
Wait,
Yeah.
That guy was
Yeah.
tough. He did not want to die. I feel like when you get stabbed in the gut like that, you don't got much time
You know-
if you're bleeding like he is.
And I did.
Like, holy crap.
I really thought of it as a continuation of Home Alone because it's Buzz.
Yeah.
And it was like Buzz learned from his brother how to take it. And he got stabbed in the gut. He's like, no, Kevin would be so mad at me if I died.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's like
That's-
literally.
And that dude's name
It
was
was.
Kevin too.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was great.
The guy who got stabbed. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Um,
I feel like it's like they go back to the apartment when they get up there and they're like, you know, captured by like the evil guy and then like Tweedledee and Tweedledum. There's a very quick like, hey, where do you store all your files? And she's like, I'm never telling. And then she goes, and then they start hurting Kevin, and she's like, check, you know, the computer. You know?
But, and you know, there's one of those other little things that just annoyed me at the end is like they literally knew everything about her, everything she's ever looked up, everything she's ever sent, but they couldn't figure out where she downloaded a file
Right.
from.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
come
okay.
on. Like, you got to do a little better than that,
Let's
right?
go even a step further than that because there's like 10 minutes where she is just manipulating the whole situation to get out using the Kimi device and nobody stops her. It's literally 7 different like commands she gives Kimi. Kimi, turn off the lights. Kimi, answer the phone. Kimi, like call the police. Kimi, do this. Nobody stops her. I
Kimmy,
was like, oh, she must be
defense
in-
mode. It's like a
Yeah.
gun that pops out of it.
I was like, is she in a different room
Or-
that like they don't realize that she's the one talking right now to this device, like doing all these commands, and then all of a sudden she just flips the table,
Well-
and I'm like, what? Why wouldn't you just like? I'm not saying you have to kill her right off the bat, but just like do something to stop her from giving these Kimi commands.
Well,
Or they could have just... Go
I
ahead,
was
Andy,
just
go
gonna
ahead.
say, I was like, well, their paid gig is to be assassins. Like, and that's what you're getting your money for. And you know, like you said, she has all this time to rattle off these commands to Kimmy. Like, surely someone who gets paid to kill has plenty of time to at least fire one shot and be like, "This is it.
Fuck
Yeah.
off. Yeah.
You're done.
Literally.
Game over."
Or like I feel like I've done many times when people are trying to go like, "Hey Alexa, do X." You're like, blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Like messes up.
Stop listening, stop listening.
Or you go, or it's like the iconic scene where she's like, "Kimmy, shut off the lights," and then it goes, "I'm sorry, I didn't understand."
Yeah. Or she
That would've
says,
been
Kimmy,
great.
shut off the lights. And then they go, Kimmy, turn on the lights. And the lights
Playing
go
all of
back
the
on.
lights. Dude, she's like,
I
she
agree.
like takes out like 3 armed killers with a nail gun. With
Heck
a
yeah.
nail- like,
I love that they had to throw in that little throwaway line in the beginning where she was like, yeah, my dad used to do carpenter work.
Yeah.
So that like it would make sense why she knew how to tape a nail gun in a way where she
Yeah.
could use it
Yeah.
as a gun.
but you know what that doesn't make sense? Why she has weird dead point accuracy with a nail gun.
Hey,
She used to shoot bottles
Yeah.
with a nail
She's
gun
got-
back
Did they
home
ever
in
say what happened to
Oklahoma.
her dad?
Yeah, it's true.
yo,
Oh shit.
whoa, even deeper plot.
Dad
She
died.
smoked her dad with a nail
The
gun.
prequel is like her with a nail gun, her dad with a nail gun, and it's like a standoff.
Wow,
It's the last duel.
Yes, the last duel.
Yeah, so yeah.
Throwback.
Oh,
All right, well, we shall play our game. All right, so I will pull up the Rotten Tomato meter, and the way this works is first we're going to start with Tomato meter, and then we'll come back around for the audience score. What do you think the Tomato meter was for this one? Let's start with Andy.
Ooh, I'm gonna say 83.
83.
I have a feeling that because it's the Soderbergh charm, that kind of bumped some critics up there a little bit. And I think, just in comparison to other garbage movies that are out there, I think people kind of gave this one like oh yeah, this is fun, cool. So 83.
Nice. Kevin?
I'm gonna go a little lower, but same vein, give the little Soderbergh bump. I was gonna give it a 79.
Okay. Not
quite
quite a
80.
Price is Right, but we're gonna get
Right.
All right, Joey.
See, I think your guys' logic will make sense for the audience score, but I think the critics are going to be a little more tougher on this one, and I think it's going to be like a 68, I'm going to say. I think low for the critics score.
68.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So for this movie, the tomato meter was a 91. High.
Whoa.
High. Very high.
Wow.
Very
Wow.
high.
Okay.
I think that's the highest one we
Fresh
watched this year.
Certified.
I don't think that movie
It
was
wasn't.
that
It
good.
was.
Whoa.
It shows how much we know
Yeah,
about
right.
movies, or how much critics don't know
Yeah.
about.
All right. Well, let's see. Alternatively, what did the audience think of this one? Joey, what do you think? Audience score.
I think that
Shit,
I
that changes
still
everything.
I've ruined all your confidence.
everything. I am gonna go. I still think it's on the lower. Oh, I was gonna say. I could have seen that for the audience score, but not the critics. So I'm gonna say it's probably not far off, and say like an 85.
85 from Joey. Andy.
I would feel like that guy on Price is Right.
Mhm.
So that's what I was going to originally say.
Do it. We do it all the time. Do it.
85.1.
Yeah. No. You know what? I'll say even higher. I'm going to say that the audiences were behind this 93%.
93. Ooh, it's high. It's high. All right. Kevin.
I'm gonna go the other direction. I'm gonna say if critics thought it was really good and I thought it wasn't that good, then maybe all the rest of the audience is just as dumb as me, and the audience score is gonna be like 72.
The audience score for this movie was a 52.
Wow.
Way lower. Way
There is
lower.
a glitch
That
in
could
the system. What is happening?
Wow.
I was just gonna say that could be one of the biggest discrepancies we've seen. Even
Yeah.
though I don't really like those movie ratings. I think I don't know, but that could be the biggest
it's huge.
discrepancy.
That's a
we've seen.
huge
The
swing.
biggest
That is massive.
in that direction. I think typically it's always like the audience has a soft side for
Yeah.
movies and they enjoy it, that they're going to go higher, and then the critics go drastically lower. Wow,
Were they watching the same movie?
I think this
I'm
might be another
shook.
Power of the Dog situation where
Oh my god.
Andy, we were not fans
It
of
might
Power of the
be.
Dog. I don't know if you were or not.
I did not care for Power of the Dog.
Yeah.
I was
Thank
disappointed. Super disappointed.
We were the same way. We were like, "Oh, this movie kind of sucked," and then literally the next week, everyone was like, "This is the best
mean,
The
movie."
critics,
I've
just the
written this
critics. 'Cause
year.
I read a lot of people who were
Yeah.
like talking about it and they didn't like it. There was meh, average,
Yeah.
like
I have-
nothing exciting,
I have a
very
question.
whelming.
Andy, what did you think of
Yeah.
the angry hooping? As that's the only thing I felt strongly about in the whole movie.
in Power of the Dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a scene when the kid gets upset, so he goes out back and starts hula hooping in the most angry fashion of all time. It is one of our all-time favorite scenes in any movie.
See, because of that, now I feel like I have to go back
It's-
and
it
rewatch
is-
it. Like
You
that
do.
movie, that movie like did not stick with me at all. I was just like so
Yeah.
bored.
Yeah.
It's
You're like,
bored.
what's
I
going
feel
on
bad,
here?
but I was bored.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Us
Yeah.
too. Us too. That's so
Alright.
funny.
Well,
Okay.
So, we can get to double downs. Let's start with
yeah.
let's start with Kevin. Kevin, are you double down? Keep scrolling.
Yeah, I think you guys gave me a lot of ammunition to say keep scrolling, but I still think this is that good Sunday movie. It's still a decent watch. You didn't have any compelling arguments to say that you shouldn't watch this movie ever. You had some good arguments. They weren't compelling enough though. So I am going to.
Kevin, you're also a part of this evaluation. You can't just be like, you guys didn't do a good job.
Yeah, you guys suck at swaying me.
You're also at the table, like doing the thing that we're doing.
Yeah, but it's your job to sway me. I'm just here to drink beers and talk about movies.
Andy, what do you think?
Listen, I'm still gonna press play on this one. I think your other options are like to have FX and TNT on and watch like another showing of like Behind Enemy Lines or Iron Eagle. Like I think this is a better Sunday watch than those. Like just watch this for the first time instead of rewatching those dad movies. Like you usually would on a Sunday.
Agree. All right, Joey. Oh,
James,
Joey.
why don't you go first? Why don't you go first?
Joey.
I'm still deciding.
Oh God, he's thinking of all the stipulations.
No, that's the
he's
thing.
gonna add.
The Sunday vibes make sense. I get that.
Do you want me to go, Joey, or do you want deliberation time?
You go, James. You go.
All
I
right.
need a couple more seconds to think.
This one, I honestly do think that there's enough unique, interesting points in the movie that justifies the click play. I don't think it's like the best movie of all time, but I do think that it does a lot right, and there's funny moments that like you can still enjoy. You know what I mean? Even though it's not what they were going for, I still had a good time watching it. And it's also only an hour and a half. Like it's really not that long of a runtime.
Mm-hmm.
They're not asking too much. Like I judge a movie much more if it's like over an hour and 50 minutes, because then it's like, okay, you decided to keep a lot in, and like you better keep my attention for that amount of time. Like this is a very short.
Make it worth it.
Exactly. And like I think if this was any longer, it would have seemed like a longer movie because it was so confined to like a few different sets and scenes. So I think they did a good job with this one. I'm also gonna click play. And Joey, that's all the time I can buy for you, bro.
I'll give it one click play. Watch it once. You're not gonna remember it. It's not gonna stick with you and be like, "That's great." There's no deeper meaning behind it. Watch it with caution. Don't get your hopes up when watching this movie is what I'm going to say. It's entertaining. It's a fun ride. But don't expect to leave it like I did thinking that, oh, this is going to be much better than it was.
Yeah.
So that's my...
It's a very negative
caution.
click play. It's a
that wasn't negative.
Push play.
Kev, you made a good point that there was no reason to really overtly say, no, don't watch this movie.
Yeah.
Like, the writing was not the best, but it also wasn't horrible. The acting was great on Zoe Kravitz's side. Some of the other people I thought were a little fell flat. Like, every time that there was something great, there was somebody that was just meh. There was never anything that was, like, horrible. So, that's where I gotta say, like, okay, I wouldn't deter people from watching this.
Yeah.
But
like Met Plus, you know? Like
Met Plus.
Met Plus, you know? Just above. All right. Well... Thanks, everyone, for listening. Thanks for sticking to the end with us. We really appreciate it. Again, thank you, Andy, so much for hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. It was a ton of fun.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
This was a ton of fun.
Anything you want to plug, Andy? Anything you got coming out, or anything you want to plug your shows, whatever?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just do a general, like, so I got two podcasts going on the Fat Dude Digs Flix network. There's Let's Talk About, which is the interview show I talked about earlier. And then I also do a thing called the Criterion Break. Two of my buddies and I talk about the Criterion Collection. And my next episode, I think, is coming out on Tuesday. We'll go back into our Ingmar Bergman little mini marathon. So we're going to talk some high class motion pictures after watching Kimi. So,
nice.
But yeah, anywhere you get your podcasts, you can find Fat Dude Digs Flix there.
Perfect. Go check
Sounds
them out.
great.
Great show.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Andy.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you very, very much. It's a ton of
Very fun. All right. Well, thank you all for watching. We really appreciate it. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe. We're trying to grow our base on there. It helps us out a lot. In addition, if you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you can now leave reviews on both platforms. So please leave us a review. We really appreciate it. Check us out on Instagram, Flix_fellas. We're very active on there. It's a really great way to engage with us. Comment on our videos. We talk about them all the time, you know, especially if you make fun of me. That's been many of our clips from the past. So we really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time.